Welcome to Home Brew by J.W. Martin Real Estate, where we uncover the true stories of what's brewing in South Carolina's local business scene. I'm Joey Martin, and each week we sit down with the ones who are pushing through the grind. Business owners, creators, and community leaders who have fought through the tough times and come out stronger. No fluff, just real stories, smart insights, and a whole lot of lessons learned the hard way. Let's dive in. Today's guest is K Feather. Kathy is a business and lifestyle strategist based here in Greenville, South Carolina, and the owner of K Feather Solutions, where she offers fractional operation support and travel planning services to small business owners and business professionals nationwide. She's a project management professional, business process specialist, certified travel professional, and distinguished Toastmaster. Kathy's also recognized for leadership, strategic thinking, and public speaking skills. And her mission is to help clients streamline their businesses so they can focus on growth while enjoying life's moments. Wow, that's quite a description, Kathy. You got a lot of hats to wear there.
I have a lot going on, but it's really meaningful work and it needs to happen.
I'll tell you what, let's talk. Just tell us a little bit about just your business as a whole. What all do you offer?
Yeah, so as you mentioned, I'm a fractional operations specialist. So I head into small businesses and really help them systematize their back offices. And that's everything from identifying the processes that are typically in a solopreneur's head and getting that down on paper as a standard operating procedure so they can hire a VA or whomever they need to come into their business at any given time, as well as really helping them optimize the use of technology. And that doesn't necessarily mean adding new tools. Sometimes that means eliminating tools and streamlining the flow between those systems and really thinking about what's necessary in the business and how that is functioning within the different pieces of the business to really ensure the clients are going to have an amazing experience when they work with that business.
Wow, that's really cool. I've actually had a business strategist come into my company before, and I tell you, it was extremely helpful. But it sounds like what you're doing is a little different because EOS is the folks that I used before, and they did a fine job, and I really appreciate what they've done. But this sounds more like there's a focus on the technology aspect of it as well, which sounds like kind of something that differentiates you a bit.
Yeah, so EOS is a great framework. And for those that aren't out there, the book Traction is a great book to familiarize yourself with EOS and what they're doing. And I chose not to certify in EOS because I do believe small businesses, especially those in the solopreneur to the 5, sometimes even 10 people, and really anywhere from they're just breaking that first 100,000 up to they're really hitting that first 5 million, they really need something a little more pivotal and a little more flexible than the EOS framework. I think pieces of the EOS framework are really important. And I think those expectation meetings and having your 90-day rocks, as EOS calls them, and what you're focusing on in your business are all really important. But I find for those really small businesses, technology can make or break them in a given day.
Yeah, I'll tell you, one of the main things that really helped me through those sessions was just as an entrepreneur, I found myself walking around the office kind of grouchy, for lack of better words, and I was aggravated. I would see things that weren't being done, and I was like, why are they not doing it? Why isn't this being done? And it's because I expected people to be a mind reader, and we never actually established seats on the bus, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
We never established
Yeah.
like exact roles that people have and the exact things that they should be performing. And so,
Yeah. So those roles, those KPIs that you're going to measure them to, the expectations and the actual activities, they're huge. And so many people, I find their very first hire in a business, because many of us in corporate didn't hire. I was responsible for teams in corporate, but I never really hired the team members that I was responsible for. But having them understand what I thought their role was versus what they thought their role was really helped determine why folks as a solopreneur or a small business often their first hire is a really unsuccessful, painful process.
Yeah, that's so true. It's a scary step, and you're a solopreneur, I guess you could say. It's you don't know the right time, but am I stretching myself too thin here? But I tell you, once I did make my first hire, I mean, life was so much easier without question. But then as the company started to grow, it grew a little faster than what I anticipated, and so I felt a little out of control in my business, and so that's when EOS came. And I will admit, with EOS, it's definitely made for larger
Mhm.
businesses, and so there are areas where we were forcing it to work for a small real estate
Yeah.
brokerage. Yeah, absolutely. So I would certainly agree with you there. And please don't think I'm putting down EOS in any fashion. We had a tremendously wonderful experience there, but yeah, we had to force things for a smaller company. Absolutely.
Yeah. And that's often what people find. And again, EOS is a fantastic framework. They know what they are doing. Their implementers are trained and ready to go in it. It just is sometimes you're forcing that square peg into the round hole. And I had a great mentor early on in my career as a project manager. And one of the things he told me was don't build anything that's not necessary. So don't do anything in your business just to say and check a box to say you're doing that. Eliminate that unnecessary overhead. And I have seen a lot of organizations go through the EOS implementation. And after that implementer has left and the integrator is now a hired person that you're working with, I see things flex a little bit. And I see some of those processes, okay, we don't really need that. And they fall out of practice.
Oh, so true. That's very true. I admit it. That's so true. It's nice to have as a business owner, it's nice to have someone come in and do what maybe you didn't know how to say
Yeah.
in some cases, or maybe you said it, you just didn't say it, the didn't communicate it as well as someone else can come in and communicate it. And especially for me being the visionary of the company, as I suppose you could
Mhm.
say, it's difficult to let go of control. Sometimes it's difficult to let go of control of things because you're scared that no one's going to be able to do it to the level that you do. And I'll admit I have turned over some things to people that have let me down, which made me extremely hesitant to
Yeah.
let go of control of things. But once I got the right person in the right place, it it made sense. It just started to it made my life so much easier. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And when you can't focus on the things that are productive or that you enjoy, and the
Yeah.
business becomes far less enjoyable, is what I found.
Absolutely. There are so many things so many of us don't like doing in our own business. And the faster and the more effectively we can hand them off, automate them, or eliminate them, are they one of those unnecessary processes that don't have to actually happen? And you were told a business owner has to do it. And the faster we can get away from those things, the better off we are, the better off the folks we lead are, just because everybody works better when they're happier.
Yeah, absolutely. Recently, I read a book, and I don't know if you read it. You probably so if you're in this world. Who Not How. It's a phenomenal book. It's a really great read, and it really applies very well to this subject. But Who Not How is just a wonderful book. So you were in the corporate world for over 2 decades, and so
Yes.
what made you decide to get out of the corporate world?
It was partially a sink or swim moment. So I started the travel side of my business. So I have that travel side. I started that in 2019, August to be exact. So
Okay.
just as it was getting its swing,
Ooh,
COVID shut the world down.
very difficult time to be in the travel
But
business.
it was a fascinating time. Thankfully, I had that corporate job. And so I spent the time learning the suppliers, really understanding the business and deciding who I wanted to work with as a travel planner. And that both from a supplier and a client perspective. But more importantly, I had that corporate job and I stayed in that corporate job until after COVID. I really was unhappy living in Washington state. Cost of living was extremely high. I didn't want to go back to working in an office, and the company I was working with, fantastic company, but they felt the need to have us in desks at the office. And so it was time for me to leave. And so I found a small consulting business. Actually, they found me and I signed on with them. And it really spoke to my heart because I was going to be working in the foster care system in the state and really helping what was known at the time, those kinship families. So aunts, uncles, grandmas that are taking responsibility for those family members when a family member is having some sort of a crisis and can't care for them. And they were at the time subject to the same licensing laws.
Okay.
And so I was brought in to facilitate coming up with licensing requirements for the kinship relationships and state agency, lots of different people all coming at it from the perspective of wanting to do right. But a year and a half in, we hadn't gotten very far in the project. And one thing about me, I've been sent into multiple troubled projects over the course of my career. And what I've done is helped rescue them and work with the teams to bring them to fruition or decide this isn't going to meet the expectations. Let's kill the project. And I didn't feel like I was doing a good job.
Mhm.
And as I was looking for opportunities to leave, and while I was there, I moved across the country. I decided maybe it's time to just do this for myself. I've
Right.
done it successfully for other companies for years. I'll just go be a consultant and project manage and do strategic planning for companies. And so I was ready to go. I was an emotional wreck because I don't fail well. And I felt like I was failing all day, every day.
Right.
And state agency, different time zones, they wanted me at a desk from what would have been noon my time to 6, 7, 8 p.m. in the evening. And I'm a morning person. And so I jumped off the cliff.
Yeah.
I don't recommend jumping off the cliff to people, but from a physical and mental well-being perspective for myself, I had to do it.
Yeah. I'll tell you based on my experience with my own personal journey as an entrepreneur. It was never planned. It was, I think there's a lot of us in the entrepreneurial world that have that just jump off a cliff and go ready, fire, aim kind of, we'll figure it out along the way, build the plane while you're in the air. Yeah.
Yep. And I thankfully knew it was going to be coming. And so I had built that financial cushion. I just hadn't built the financial cushion to what risk averse Kathy believes I should have had in the bank. You make it work. You get down and dirty, just make it work.
Let's talk a little bit more about the travel side of your
Mhm.
business. Talk a little bit more about that. What's involved in it?
Yeah, so I do everything for my travel clients. Once they have a destination and some dates in mind, I handle all of the details. So they give me a budget, they give me some dates and where they want to go, and I, based on their likes and travel preferences, come up with a couple of different proposal options for them. And then they get to say yay or nay, or let's refine this a little bit. And then I do everything from booking it to helping them find airport transfers. For those traveling with little kids, I can help them find cribs that will be delivered to their hotel and assembled in their hotel rooms, car rentals. I specialize in cruises and solo and multi-gen travel just because that's who was in my network when I first started and they just keep referring. But I actually can book any type of travel. I just helped this last summer. It was a fun trip to plan. I had no experience with Switzerland whatsoever, but I got on the phone with some of my fantastic suppliers that I talked about, like hand selecting earlier, and chatted with them about what this couple wanted to do. And they came up with a fantastic plan for me to give to them.
Wow. That sounds like a wonderful trip too. I'd love to go to Switzerland.
Oh my God, their photos were amazing.
I bet that I'll tell you, as an entrepreneur, oftentimes for me at least, for the first decade, there was no travel whatsoever. And I finally, after a decade of just building the business and just being hyper focused and had the blinders on and completely unbalanced, I decided that I would start traveling a little bit. And I, let's see, I was, I'm I was 40, 43, 44, 40. At maybe 4 or 5 years ago is when I decided to get a passport for the first time in my life. And so I've been traveling a lot of Caribbean places. It's where I've started,
Mhm.
but I love to explore Europe, and Australia would be a cool trip. I think just so many places out there to see, but it's been really rewarding to get out there and see the world, see some things out there. So what are some of your most common destinations that you book for, would you say?
Yeah, so I do a lot of Caribbean cruises. It is easy for folks here on the East Coast to head on down to Florida, and you have 4 different cruise ports there, head over to Galveston. And then I do a number of Alaska cruises every year for those that want to do Alaska. It's a great way to view a very small portion of Alaska. Everybody's, I want to see Alaska. I want to go on a cruise. And it's like, you're going to see like this much of Alaska. I just want to set the expectation.
Right,
I've done it. It's an amazing experience, but you are not seeing Alaska.
right.
And so I do a lot of cruises across US based departure destinations, some Mexico. And then I fell into Europe. I have had, and for whatever reason, Italy has been very popular with a lot of the folks that I book, as well as England. Yeah.
Well, Kathy, we're
But
gonna
I
have
hear
to
you on the
talk.
passport.
We're gonna have to talk because I'm. Those are places I'd love to go to. Europe, Italy. I'd love to see some of those places, and the time that it takes if you have a busy lifestyle, the time it takes just perusing all these travel sites and not knowing anything
Mhm.
about anything. You don't know, what place to go. You're just going off of reviews, basically, is what you're hoping for, which are
Yeah,
halfway done by
and
AI these
and
days.
really knowing you can find it all. There was a joke yesterday in one of my social media feeds, and it was, if you think you're having a bad day, just keep in mind the Vienna airport has a desk for those that thought they were arriving in Australia.
Oh my
So you
goodness.
booked yourself into Austria instead of Australia because
Oh
those
my
airport
goodness.
codes, they can get you really quickly. You typed it wrong, it looked right, there off you go.
Oh my goodness. That would be a really bad day. What ruining a
That would
vacation.
be a really bad day. And thankfully, I haven't had any clients where I've caused that kind of a type of experience. Usually, my biggest clients' issues are with flights, but it's nothing either of us have control over. Those cancellations and those delays are getting the best of most of us right now. But one of the things they recognize is when that happens, they can call me. And while they're in the airport trying to work their way through the line, I'm on the phone and in the chat queue working the way through the line as well to get them rebooked and on their way as quickly as possible.
That's two kind of what you would think would be different worlds with travel and business strategy. How are you able to integrate the two together?
Yeah, so it made sense in my mind when I did it. And one of the biggest things I was told from my travel business as I was out networking with other small business owners is I would love to travel, but similar to yourself, I don't know how to get out of my business.
Yeah.
I'm a process gal. I've been helping people do process forever. And it was like, oh, I can fix this problem. And so that's how the idea came out of it. Where I'm really headed is COVID sent us all into the online world, and many of us work out of our homes. Many of us now don't see a lot of the people in person pretty regularly, but there's something to be said about some of those in person events and experiences and learning and being in communities. And so I'm really looking to move my travel business more into helping small businesses host those community gatherings that they might have and bring your community together to have a workshop or whatever that might look like. So,
Wow.
yeah, but really, truly, it's the same set of skills that I use in both. Let me investigate and question and understand. Let me propose options and let me handle the implementation of those options. And so the function is exactly the same.
I'll tell you, one thing is just overwhelming. If you're looking at travel sites and things like that, it's like the menu's too big. If you go to a restaurant, it's got 6 pages of options. I don't know what to choose.
Yep.
So someone with your knowledge, you can help laser focus in on the good places and the places to avoid and things like that. That's really cool.
Yeah.
and also mixing
Like
the
I have had clients question when they say, I want to go to the beach. Okay,
yeah,
let's talk about that a little bit. Do you want to sit on the beach drinking your pina colada? Do you want a swimmable beach? European beaches are very different from US beaches. What experience are you hoping to have so that I can narrow down that list?
okay.
Because if you Google search beaches, boy,
Yeah.
you're going to be spending like weeks narrowing your focus.
Yeah, that's incredible. What a time saver that would be too. Yeah, we're definitely going to have to talk on the travel side of things as
Yeah.
well. But something I saw, and we're jumping around a little bit here, but something I saw on your website was what you called like a mission control, I believe, control center.
Oh, my AI agents
Yeah, I saw that. That
and
looked
my
really,
business
really interesting.
center.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell me more about that.
Yeah. So I'm a big fan of automating what you can in your business so that the people you have in your business get to do the things that need the human touches. And so many tools are good tools, but they're made for the masses, which means you're trying to fit your business into their model,
Okay.
where an AI agent is built for your business. So we train it on how your business does things and have it respond appropriately. So that's one side of the business. And then the other is my business center. And my business center is a set of ClickUp templates, which is a project management tool for those of you that don't know. And it really helps you manage every aspect of your business in one place. So you and I were chit chatting a little bit about those 50 SOPs.
Right.
And now you have these 50 SOPs. Can anybody find them?
Right.
And okay, we have a folder out on Google Drive. Okay, we have a folder and then we have 5 folders within the folders.
Yeah.
How
Right.
about if you have a place that's already where you're doing the work that you can click and your SOPs are linked directly there? You
Yeah.
have frameworks that you use in your business. Easily access those frameworks while you're doing the work. And your social media engagement, track your media calendar there, track your actual projects in the same place. So the work your team is doing is all built in one place. So I have templates that are customizable further. So they're built based on best practices, but obviously you and your business might code things slightly different. So there might be some further customization that has to happen, but it gets you started there. It has your employees' vacation calendars. We were talking about those team roles and expectations. You
Right.
can have your entire hiring process right there.
That sounds incredible. That sounds really nice. I was telling you earlier that we just had to update all of our SOPs, and myself and the leadership team, we were, I guess everyone has, I think, pretty much brought their SOP to the table. That everyone had a different format. One was a PowerPoint, one was on a Word sheet, one was
Yeah.
it just should have been. I guess we should have been more specific in what we were asking for, and then and trying to like hone those into one place to make it all make sense. I can certainly relate because that's just something that we've recently
Yeah.
gone through. And yeah, that's not much fun.
And And I would take it one step further, like your employees, if they cross disciplines, are looking at all those and it's, oh my God, I don't even know where in that to look for what tools do I have to actually do this process.
Yeah.
Where if you have one framework that everybody's working with, at least they know where in that document they're going to find those things.
Wow. You certainly have a vast set of skills, Kathy, and it's really intriguing. And so I am serious when I say I want to talk with you after the show about the travel side of things for sure,
Yeah.
and maybe some of the business strategy. I love the idea of that control center. That sounds fantastic. Honestly, it really does.
Yeah, I can show you, I'm a solopreneur and I use it in my business.
Well, yeah, okay, excellent. Yeah, that. Yeah, I'll have to talk with you a little bit more because I've just got a ton of stuff going on in the business that I think you might be able to help with. So, looking forward to that. Who would you say are some mentors that you've had over the years?
Oh, goodness. So I love this question because one of the things my mastermind community actually had me do this year was define my executive board for my solopreneur business. Who
Yeah.
sits on my board and who do I go to for advice? And it was so vast. So obviously, I don't know most of these folks in person, but it was the Dalai Lama, it was Keanu Reeves, it was Dolly Parton, and all for kindness and empathy, as well as their vast business sense.
Yeah.
And just, but in real life, I've had a number of executives over the years that have been mentors to me. My parents instill a work ethic in me from day one. And so when folks were like, oh no, my mom was home. No, my mom was working when I grew up. Like we were latchkey children. I don't
Right.
even know if people nowadays know what a latchkey child is. Our generation does. For those of you that don't, came home, we had a key and we let ourselves into the house and you didn't turn on the stoves and things, but you got your homework done and did it on your own. But and my parents were a big part of that. But I had a gentleman by the name of Bill Kinney early on in one of my contract roles. And he was helping me navigate a contract with the military. And so, really, he had military experience as well as contract experience and helping me navigate both sides of that and understand how that worked was great. And he had some mottos that I still keep in my head. I don't share anymore. They're definitely not politically correct. But some of those things were just fantastic pieces of advice that keep it simple, stupid,
Right.
and not to make anyone feel bad, but make the process as complicated as it needs to be and no more.
Right.
And really, truly taking everything that you're doing with that. And then over the years, I've just had a wealth of people that I adore working with. I actually cried the day I gave notice to the company that was taking people back to the office. I loved the company. I adored my boss. He actually came to my home to help me install a ramp after my father needed use of a wheelchair in our home.
Hmm.
On a
Wow.
weekend, he came, COVID lockdowns and all things, and helped me install a ramp because he knew I didn't know what I was doing. And more importantly, he viewed it as taking care of his team allowed me to focus on my job and not on how do I get this ramp installed in my house. And so those kind of lessons were amazing. That we like to pretend work and life are separate, but I try and get small business owners to recognize it's not balance. It's work life integration
Right.
and making the things work for where you are. And you will have different seasons, and some you will need to focus more on the business, and some you will need to focus more on family. But recognizing it all plays in.
That's it's fantastic you brought that up because that's something I always ask because it's such a challenging subject because I hear it so much
Mhm.
around my office people saying work life balance, and it's something that I don't necessarily believe in, and because one of the a mentor of mine, he explained it to me as though like why would you, if you're really hyper focused on this on your business, why would you lower your focus on your business, not just rather than lower your business, raise your focus on the family and try to balance that out, because otherwise if you feel like the family is forcing you away from your business, then you're going to get resentful towards the family. So it's always a juggling act, but trying to
Mhm.
keep those two things equal. It's not, I like the way you put it, integrate it all together. And
It is. Your calendar should work for your business and your life.
right.
And that may mean Thursday, I have a game for my child that I'm headed off to, and I'm going to be out of the office for the afternoon. And that may mean that Saturday morning, I'm doing a little something instead of learning, like I try and do learning on the calendar during the week because if we don't continue to learn, we're in big trouble. Things are
Right.
changing rapidly. But that may mean taking a little bit of time on a Saturday morning
Certainly.
to do that learning that I put aside so I could go to the game.
Yeah. We've been pre-programmed for that Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. It's ridiculous how programmed we are for that. And it really doesn't need
Yeah.
to be that I get so much done on the weekends sometimes, just because no one else is doing anything on the weekends. And that's when you can get that
Yeah.
clarity, isolation a little
And
bit.
and same things, yeah. Same thing structuring your day. Structure your day so it works best for you. I know late afternoon, I'm not at my finest. So my hard work is in the morning.
Yeah,
And that may mean clients know they don't start to get emails from me until 9, 10, sometimes 10:30 in the morning because I'm like head down doing the hard stuff before that.
absolutely. I'll tell you what, I've really enjoyed the conversation, and I feel like we can go on and talk for quite some time, Kathy. I really am enjoying this. But where can the listeners find you?
Yeah. So the best way to find me is on my website. So kfeathersolutions.llc.com. You can find me there. You can find me on LinkedIn. Under LinkedIn, I will be Kathy. I think it's Kathy Feather. And then I have recently revisited my YouTube channel. So I'm bringing educational material out to YouTube. So you can find me there. I'm on Facebook. I have a business page and I'm on Instagram, but I'll admit I'm not there interacting with folks too often. So the best ways are really my websites where you're going to get my attention the fastest.
Excellent. Okay. And the website is K Feather Solutions
.com.
LLC. K Feather Solutions LLC.com. Okay. Excellent. And I checked
Yep.
out
And
your website
feather is
earlier.
singular. So just one S.
Okay. Okay. K Feather Solutions, just one S. K Feather Solutions LLC.com. You'll make sure to go check Kathy out
Yep.
on her website. And I'll tell you what, really enjoyed the conversation. Thank you so much for being on the show. That's it for this episode of Home Brew. If it resonated with you or gave you a fresh perspective, share it with someone else who's working hard to make their mark. Subscribe, stay curious, and remember, no matter the challenge, keep pushing forward because success is brewed one step at a time. We'll see you next time. Same place, new story.